Hi, welcome to another project for Made by Marley Week. We really hope you enjoy this one and tune in tomorrow for more projects. Okay, I'm kicking off this project with one of our new papers, which is called Faye. It is fairies. So we have this beautiful fairy looking gorgeous in amongst the foliage and flowers and toadstools. We have this wonderful fairy, a little bit close up, and we have a fussy cut sheet, which we can fussy cut. I put it on black to make it easier. All the fussy cuts for this release are on black. Just makes it easier to fussy cut them out, because if you're left with a little black line, that looks fine, but if you're left with a white line, that doesn't look fine. So fussy cut flowers as well, which is awesome. Now, what's the victim? It's this little cabinet here. It's a little pot cupboard. It's got a little drawer up here and a little cabinet down here. It's all been cleaned and ready to go. And the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to apply some moulds. These are the moulds that I'm using today. I'm using this one, which is the Veridis mould. This is an IOD mould. And this one here, which is called Felicity, which is an IOD mould. And this one here is an old redesign by Prima mould. I think it might be called Magnolia, but I'm not entirely sure. So it doesn't really matter what mould you use. Moulds are irrelevant. It's just to kind of give it a little bit more. This is because this is an awful flat surface and I want to give it a little bit more va-va-voom. Right, okay, so you need that. So I've already cast my moulds, which are just sitting here to the side. And I did have my glue 2 minutes ago. But isn't that just typical where you go? Are you looking for the glue, Matt?
No, I was going to show them the moulds.
Oh, right, here we go. Well, this is what I've done. I've just done a whole heap of them. There they are in their splendour, all just sitting there nicely. And I've cast these today in resin. That one there's a little bit bent. They were just done a minute ago. So that's how they look, right? And I need some scissorini. Now I'm working up on the table today with this one just because of my knee. So we'll see how we go. Now, first of all, I think what I would like to do is, and maybe I should have done this before I started, is I really want to remove these, which are screwing in from the front. There we go, that's them gone. But you have to be mindful of this area here, because this area here is going to be where you're going to put your new handles. Whenever you remove handles, just give it a little bit of scuff sand. That's really important. It gets away the dirt, but also it stops that rough surface. But we're going to be putting plenty of texture on it, so it's not really going to be the end of the world. Now, I think I'm going to kick off with the Veridis, because I can manage to manipulate this, I think, around the handles. So this and sort of this orientation. So let's just get those glued on first. Now, I could really be doing with probably putting this in a piping bag, which I will do at some point. I'm using an all-purpose no nails glue. All-purpose, not a wood glue, because this is not wood and wood we're gluing. It's resin and wood. So I'm not going to labour too much on the moulds. I'm going to go away and I'm going to make a nice pattern. Remember, we're decoupaging, so we want to keep all this surface area here ready for the decoupage paper, and the moulds just are filling little gap fillers just because the piece is awful flat. Now I can already see, even though I put a bit too much glue on this, got a bit glue happy, but stick that there. And I thought this little alcove part might look pretty good around the handles. Now being in mind this is a drawer, so the drawer has to open and close. Give it a squeeze down. I'll deal with cleanup in a minute, which is just a wet brush, and I'll go around all of these and get rid of my excess glue. Right, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue my moulds here and round about, and I'll get Matt to come in back in a wee while just so you can see how it's all shaping up, okay? Okay, the moulds have been applied where I want them to be. I've not put any on the sides, and I'm going to be doing something decoupaging on the top. So this is the surface that we're wanting to deal with. Now, this is going to be put on slightly different than the normal way you put on Made by Marley decoupage paper, because I want the paper to look old and wrinkly. So all the things that I tell you not to do when you're applying your decoupage glue, you can just ignore that on this one. You want it nice and thick, because that's going to give you wrinkles. And just make sure you've got plenty of glue on. Now, what I'm about to do probably will horrify some people, but it's okay. It's all going to come good. You don't need to worry. So my glue has been applied. More than I need, but we know it's applied anyway. Now, here is my paper. And we're going to be using this fairy on this door. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip off the white edge right now because we don't want that. And ripping is better for this kind of project. And as we go through the week, you'll see all the different ways, you know, you'll get to know that when to rip and when to cut. But for this one, just ripping it and getting this edge off down here. Now, once you've done that, you're going to take your paper, and this is the horrifying bit, okay? I have a bucket of water down here, yeah? I'm going to put my paper in the bucket of water, and I'm going to squidge it around, and I'm going to screw it up tightly, dip it back in the water, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to take it back out of the water. That's the good thing about Made by Marley. You couldn't do this with tissue paper. The tissue paper, just rinse, not rinse, just squeeze all the water out of it because you want it nice and wrinkled. And again, it's robust enough that it'll take all this. Now we've made it nice and sort of crinkled and vintage. Where are we putting her? I think her position is going to be about here. So let's get, now remember, I'm wanting this wrinkly, so patting, we're not trying to smooth. Can you see all the wrinkles that has been put into that by the ripping and the soaking? Just rip it off near the moulds. You don't need to worry about that. We can do a blendy job around there. What we got up here, so really we want this to come around here and here and here and here. Keep all these bits because you're going to need them, and keep patting and patting, remembering that you're going for the wrinkled look. I hit upon this on a channel, I think it was a private YouTube channel, private members. I think I did something like this with paper, and I really like the look of it. It's like it's got crackle on it now. Now you just have to keep patting and then just roughly take it where your moulds are. You just want to just do something like that and rip that away. But as I said, keep all these little parts. And the same goes for down here. Just take it up and around them. I mean, you can piece them all into those little gaps if you want. I have got videos where I've done that. If you go to my Molds 101 video, you'll see me doing that with the decoupage. It wasn't ripped, it was just crinkled up. Right, okay, so you can take some of these little parts here. This one's still got a little bit of the white on it. I don't know, I must have missed that. Just rip them up and just stick them round. You don't need to be too perfect about it. Just all the wee parts that you've got. If there's big gaps, just take your paper and apply it. We can fix all of these joins and parts. I mean, that's not the end of the world. Where could I put this one? Maybe in there. Something here. Up round these leaves, maybe. I don't have a huge amount that I can work with, but if I can put them in, we will. Yeah, something like that. And I think, oh, I've got another little bit part here. If you feel like you need to put more glue, whoop, oh, there's a nice big wrinkle I've managed to create. This part down here, I'll sand off this edge. I'll stick my finger through it there. You can use your brush because the paper's so soft to just kind of stick it on. You want it nice and crinkled, so let's put some paper in these gaps here. And up in here. I think you're starting to get the picture. It just gives it a real vintage feel. I'm going to do the same with only the position in this is just really key. So I want her to be here, up on here, right? So see this part here, if I just get my fold line again, just use flip it over. Do the same on the other side. And then just gently take that bit off there, because we're going to need this bit for up above. And this bit here, I'm just going to do the same thing, crinkle it up, rip it up and put it around the drawers. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go away and do that. And then once I've done that, I've got a base coat here. And I'm base coating it with Whistler's Grey. It's got absolutely nothing to do with what I'm going to be doing over the top of it. I just want, can you see this greyish colour? I just want a little bit of a grey base coat, and it's just a grey. Okay, so next time you come back, the decoupage paper will be applied up here. The whole piece will be grey. I won't have done up in here because we're going to be putting our paper. In fact, do you know what? You've seen me do this now. Pretty much this is going to go through the same thing. It's going to get dunked, scrunched, and then she's going to be put up in here, okay? I've got my fussy cut elements which will come on later on once I've done the paint effect. But you know what you're doing. You're getting your paper, throw it in a basin, scrunching it up really tightly, pulling it out, shaking it off, squeezing off the excess, and it will give you these natural crinkles and wrinkles. Yeah? Okay. Back soon. Okay, it's been done with the grey, Whistler's Grey, and I ripped up and scrunched up and put it in the bucket, all the paper up the top, and I made this like a patchwork. I just added lots of different bits. What do you do now? Well, now you can just blend it all in. So what have I got here in my palette? I've got Givery, which is a kind of sky blue. I've got Capri Pink, a nice hot pink. I've got Primer Red, which is a brownie red. I've got Whistler's Grey, which is obviously the grey I used. This here is a mix of this Capability Green and Florence, Olive, Tilton, which is a yellow, Barcelona Orange, Amsterdam Green, dark green, obviously Capability Green. I think that's all my colours explained. Tilton is obviously yellow. So I'm going to start up in this corner here. I'm going to pretty much ignore the mould right now. So how would you start doing it? So we can see that there's an olivey kind of colour. So let's kind of stick a sort of olivey colour in here. I can already see it needs deepen, so I'm going to dip my brush in some darker green. And let's see if we can start blending this all out. I want it to be a little bit darker. Let's just pop some of that in here and around there. Going out to something maybe sort of turquoisey around this edge, I think, because this colour is here on our wings, so I want to kind of finish with this colour. So let's kind of start here. This is what I say, if you're far enough away from the blend, you can put whatever you want in it, and you can see how I'm painting it in. Now we can change the colour of that if you want it a little bit bluier, because this wing here is a little bit bluier. Just put a little bit more of the Givenchy in it and just mix that down into the air and twirl it around in your grey. Remember these edges, these are important. Up in and around your moulds. I'm going to start mixing it now into the Capability Green, because I can see we're going to get a greeny grey coming up here. So now I've got the green and the grey, and I'm going to mix those together like that. Take that up in around there, so the grey and the green again, up round in here. But I can start mixing back into the sort of turquoise now, because I'm far enough away. I think I'm going to make this edge here sort of green. And you can see how very quickly you start to kind of blend it all out, and it all suddenly makes sense. Now I've got a little hole there, because that's how it was put together with pieces and parts. Let's just kind of, and I haven't got a black on my palette. Now why? Because I want to darken and lighten with the colours, not with black. Black can make things go very dark very quickly, and we want to try and avoid that. Now, I'm not too worried about the transitions right now. I'm more worried about getting it all blended in so that I am happy with my blend, which I think is probably more important. Back out here with my turquoise. And you can see I'm not using a massive brush for this. This is not massive brush time. This is small brush time. Different when we come to the sides, but up in here. Now, I'm going to use the olive and the Amsterdam green here and make a sort of darker shade. Let's just bring that along here. I want to put a little bit of the yellow, because I can see this leaf here is quite yellowy. Now, what I did do was I brought over Furl. I just didn't have enough room on my palette. And Furl will be a perfect colour, for getting some of these sort of shades up here. So let's just kind of, now it's a little bit blending that down into there. I want to be starting to go near my blues again over here. We've got a green, and I've not cleaned my brush once. I've pretty much just went up and down my palettes. When I will probably have to wash when it comes to me putting near the pinks. Now let's blend that up and make that look. Now I can see there's a kind of like a mottled sort of cream in there, so let's just put a little bit of cream on here as well. Just because that works. There we go. Back in with the turquoise, because this is my sort of edging sort of colour. And in with the sort of bluey green, capability green. And you can see what I'm doing, because I'm far away from where my decoupage paper is, you can do whatever colours you want around the edges. There's no, this is what I keep saying about blending. I'm asked for blending videos all of the time. And this cabinet is particularly one of those ones where you can blend it all in. And so I may as well show you this, because it might not come up in other videos on the week. So, you know, blending is pretty important to be able to. Now, if you want to make it a little bit moodier, just add a darker green in it. Just kind of moody it up a bit. There we go. Now I'm starting to come into my pinks here, so I've got to watch what I'm doing. That's more sort of furrow colour here. Let's get that put in there. And we can bring that right up into there. Around there. Let's just stick some furrow in there as well. Now I've got some gaps in my paper coming up, so, but I think this minty green might bring that down here. Oh, that's going into the pinks, but better be careful. Right, let's get the pinks done now. As a starter for 10, we're starting to look like this is all one sort of kind of cohesive sort of piece. But as I said, you have to then, once you've done your sort of first pass, you can then come with other colours over the top and start really kind of working it. But I'm just showing you quickly. But really, all you need to do is start with lots of colours on the palette. Look at your paper. Look at the paper, then put the colours on your palette, and then it's just a matter of mixing between them all. Because you can see there's your dark green, there's your blue, there's your turquoise, your pinks. They're all there. You just need to look for them. I've decided I'm going to make in here a little bit darker, but I'm going to add some white because it's quite creamy around here now. I'm going to have to fix that because I went a little bit crazy, but and it needs a wee bit of yellow, I think. But you obviously have to just fiddle around and play with it for a while until you get it something. I'm not happy with that, but if you make a little bit of a blunder on your blend and just leave it for a minute, I'm going to come back to this in a minute because it's got too cream. Although I do quite like the cream, so let's try and get a cream edge down here. Back to the blues, back to the turquoises, capability green, Giverny, back to the turquoise, because the edges are really, you can do whatever you want on the edges. That's why I'm saying to you, you know, if you're far enough away from the decoupage, you can make it come out every colour you want. Now, if you get to here and you think, I want a little bit of moodiness, I want a little bit of moody sort of edge here, just add a little bit of darker green, like that. And that'll give you like a sort of moodier edge. Who doesn't want that? Right, let me just show you quickly the pinks, and then I'll be going on to do the rest of this, just blend it all out. Right, I will wash my brush this time. I'm going to set that frill over here because I'm clutching onto it like it's my world depended on it. Right, so try and dry your brush. So you don't really want it here, but you do want it over here. So I think if you start with a pinky colour first, so over here I'm going to add some Capri Pink and get a sort of pink going. So let's get some of that going first, in and around here. Oh, that's quite nice. Let's take some of that up here as well. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's just, now once that's a little bit dry, and we'll come back to that in a minute, we'll put a darker pink in it. Here, let's just extend that out. I want the definition between these two, so I'm not going to go much further. Right, so I'm going in with my primer red, which is the darker colour now, and what I'm doing is I'm just kind of stippling over the top of the pink. I can see there's a little bit of lift in my paper there, but I will get to that. Bring that up into here, I think. Let's just bring these pinks. This is the good bit about blending. You can suddenly then just start to do whatever you want. Move that out. Just blend that in. Right, okay. Yeah. Now, here, let's just get the transition work done with here. And I think it's got a little bit of grey in it anyway, so let's just use the primer, the Whistler's Grey to kind of do up and round there. I can see that's a part there, the paper that I have to sand, so I'll get to that in a minute. This is a ripped edge, so just run your brush along your ripped edge, just on your rip, just to get rid of the white bit where it's been ripped. Don't worry, it'll all blend in. It's not. Same here, you can see that I've got a ripped edge. Oh, that was a little bit dark, but I can come back with a little bit of furrow on my brush and just lighten that all up, all the way down. Now, if it looks obvious, just blend it with your finger, because I can see that's the wrong shade of green. So I'm going to come in with something a little bit lighter, because there's sort of light lines there. So let's try and bring some of those in. Now, Martin, do you think I'm safely explaining what to do with the old blending?
Yep.
Right, okay. I am going to get off now, and I am going to blend this all out, and I'll get Martin to come back when it's the sides, and then it's just sealing, because today is just really about the application, the crinkle application, and the blending. I mean, everything else you do after that. Now, I can obviously come along now with my Made by Marley stencils and go stencil crazy around the edges. So, but the next thing I'll probably do is come back and show you what I'm going to intention to do with the molds, okay? All right. Okay, I've got some cream paint on my brush, and what you've missed is just me painting in the molds. I mean, these are all going to be quite short videos, so, but I mean, you know what to do. I mean, I just painted them various shades of green and various shades of pink, and that's all I've done. And then what I've done is I've just dry brushed them with some white. So I just left these ones down here so that I could show you literally that little bit of dry brushing. That's your lot. Just remembering get up and around. What else did I do with the little bit of cream on my brush? I've done things like this round my, if you can see down here, you can see me doing down this edge in the white, and the same down the bottom edge like that. You can go a little bit up onto your furniture there, a little bit there. Just kind of framing it all out with a little bit of the pale colour, I think kind of pulls it all together. You don't need a specific kind of fancy brush for this. I think I've done up here already. I have, and up and around this edge and up these edges. And that's pretty much what I've done now. It still needs cut across there. What did I do? What am I going to be doing next? Next, I have fussy cut all of my fussy cut pieces out from a fussy cuts page that you get. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start gluing these into here. Now, because the rest went in the bucket, obviously all these have to go in the bucket as well. So I'll just bring back my bucket. In fact, I'll just lean over here and do it so that, right, so it was in my bucket. Scrunch it all up again. Now, you're going to have to be really careful when it comes to these little parts. And if I was you, I would have cleaner hands than I currently do right now. Uncurl it all very gently, just so you get the same look, right? And what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to apply the glue to the back of this, because I don't want too much Mod Podge on the furniture, because it's going to be quite a matte piece. I'll do so far along the stock before I go. Oh, thank you, Martin. Oh, see, this is love for you. Look at that. What a hero. Thank you, Am. Right, okay. So I'm going to be putting this, I think, positioning this big boy on here might be quite nice. Remember, you're still going for that crumple decreased look. I want my stem to come all the way down and across my furniture like this. Make sure it's all tucked in at the edges. Pat, pat, because you're trying to get your crumples in it. I'll put a little bit of shading and colour around this as well. Put it right onto this edge. And literally, I'm just going to build a little sort of scene here. But obviously all these need crumpled in the water. So I'm going to go on now and I'm going to crumple all these onto here. And then I think maybe we'll have a wee look at what stencil we can put on it. Okay, so I said I'd come back and put some stencils on this. So I'm going to be using Velvet Wing. I'm not sure whether I might just pop that in the centre actually and put some of the ferns and toadstools round it, because it all kind of goes with the theme. What colour? I think I'm going for this sagey green, because if I use any other sort of greeny colour, it's not going to show up. I think maybe if it with a little bit of cream in it. I've got old ochre here as well, so it's just mix some of that through my stencil paint and then offload, so it's very pale. I mean, it will be a green, but it'll be very, 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 very hint of a tint. Now, I'm showing you this because when I showed this stencil off, it was on my work dungarees and it wasn't as crisp as I'd wanted to. So, this is Velvet Wing. Now, the secret to no bleed through with stencils truly is not having too much paint on your brush. If I have bleed through, then I know I'm responsible because of what I've done with the stencil. But in general, runny paint, that'll also give you bleed through. What else will give you bleed through? Wet stencil brushes. If you're going to be using your stencil brushes the next day, wash them, dry them thoroughly and let them dry in a warm room, because if you go to stencil something with a damp or wet stencil brush, it'll just go under your stencil. It'll just bleed straight through and you don't want that. So, you know, these are all the things. If you think your paint is a little bit runny in the past, or sometimes I still do it, but if you put a little bit of some of your bentonite clay just to kind of slightly thicken up your paint, and you can stencil with anything. So, you know, any paint, that is. Right, I think I'm done there, and I'm doing the swirly twirly method, which is like this, swirly twirly all the way around. Right, I shouldn't have a single bit of bleed through. That's how that looks. Can you see the little face in the moon? And there's the waning moons on either side. It really shows it very well when it's actually not done on a pair of jeans. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually dip my stencil brush in that sage green. And I think what I'll do is I'll just randomly dip my paint on the brush, making sure it offload. Oh, I had a little bit too much paint on the brush there. This potentially could have bleed through. Alright. Yeah, a little bit. I'll put the curly one on here. I've bent this one a little bit. Quite naughty with my things already. I just wanted you to see me finishing off with some stencils. I'm going to do the toadstools on this in black, because these are black round it. But you get what I'm doing. I'll do a little bit of something up round the sides, maybe. Just maybe even some ferns coming down from the top. And I'm going to intersperse with some black toadstools, which you've already seen me do. And maybe some of these little ones in cream or pink, just to pull it together. So I'll finish off doing the top of this, and then this one will be finished. Okay, so this cute little piece is finished. We put some old brass vintage handles that I had in my stash on it, just to kind of finish it off. It kind of elevates the look of just a plain little cupboard. What did we do? Scrunched up the deck. That's another way of using the decoupage paper to age it. Put it in a bucket of warm water, scrunched it up, makes it nice and sort of almost like a crackle effect. We did some blending, we did some fussy cuts with the paper. This paper is called Faye. We put some moulds on, and I stenciled with Velvet Wing, which has got the moth and the toadstools and the ferns. I ended up not putting anything on the sides because I thought it was just quite nice the way it was. I thought I will not overgild the lily today. So that's it for this one, and wait and see what we're doing tomorrow.